Hi, I'm Elise. I'm 28 years old, and for the past 3 years, I've been living with my parents again while saving for a down payment on my own place. It wasn't my dream situation, but housing prices in our city had gone through the roof, and my parents insisted it made financial sense. Elise, honey, dinner smells interesting, my mother, Patricia, said one evening as she walked into the kitchen. She wrinkled her nose slightly, eyeing the coq au vin I'd spent 2 hours preparing. It's a French dish, I replied, stirring the sauce. Chicken braised in wine with mushrooms and pearl onions. My father, Richard, appeared behind her, loosening his tie. French, huh? Well, I hope it tastes better than that Italian thing you made last week. You mean the osso buco? You both said it was fine. We were being polite, Patricia said, opening the refrigerator. Richard, should we just order Chinese? I felt my cheeks burn. I already made dinner. It's almost ready. We appreciate the effort, sweetheart. We really do, my father said, patting my shoulder condescendingly. But your cooking is… How do I put this delicately? Experimental, Patricia finished. And not in a good way. My younger brother, Marcus, wandered in, phone in hand. What's for dinner? Elise's latest culinary adventure, Patricia said with a laugh. We're ordering takeout. Again? Marcus asked. That's like the third time this week. Because your sister insists on playing chef, Richard said. If we wanted mediocre food, we'd go to a cheap diner. I gripped the wooden spoon tighter. I went to culinary school for 2 years. I know what I'm doing. Culinary school? Patricia scoffed. That community college program hardly counts, dear. Real chefs go to prestigious institutions. Le Cordon Bleu is hardly a community college, Mom. You took 3 online courses from them, she corrected. That's not the same thing. My sister, Vanessa, entered, carrying shopping bags. Oh God, what's that smell? Elise, are you cooking again? Yes, and it's perfectly good food. Hours wasted, Richard interrupted. Vanessa, your mother and I were thinking of ordering from that new steakhouse. Want to join us? Absolutely, Vanessa said, dropping her bags. Anything's better than eating whatever experiment Elise is conducting. I turned off the stove, fighting back tears. You know what? Fine. Order whatever you want. Don't be dramatic, Patricia said. We're just being honest. You're not a professional chef, Elise. You work in accounting. Because someone had to have a practical career, remember? You wouldn't help pay for real culinary school. Because it's a waste of money, Richard stated flatly. Cooking is a hobby, not a career. Marcus looked uncomfortable. I mean, some of Elise's food is pretty good. Marcus, don't encourage her delusions, Vanessa said, scrolling through her phone. Remember that Thanksgiving turkey? It was so dry I nearly choked. That was 4 years ago. I've improved significantly since then. Have you, though? Patricia asked. Because that lasagna last month was incredibly bland. You literally told me to use less salt because of Dad's blood pressure. Well, there are other seasonings, she replied dismissively. A good cook knows how to make food flavorful without salt. I grabbed my keys from the counter. I'm going out. Where? Richard asked. Anywhere but here. I drove to my best friend Hannah's apartment, tears streaming down my face. When she opened the door, she immediately pulled me inside. What happened? She asked, guiding me to her couch. My family, I managed between sobs. They mock everything I cook. Tonight they ordered takeout right in front of me while I was finishing dinner. Again? Elise, that's the 3rd time this month. They say I'm not a real chef, that my cooking is mediocre at best. Hannah's jaw tightened. Your food is incredible. That beef bourguignon you made for my birthday was restaurant quality. They don't think so. My mom actually said if they wanted mediocre food, they'd go to a cheap diner. That's cruel, Elise. Genuinely cruel. I wiped my eyes. The worst part? I cook for them almost every night. I buy the groceries with my own money. I plan the meals. I clean up afterward. And they just trash it. Wait, you buy the groceries? Most of them, yeah. They said since I'm living there rent-free, I should contribute to household expenses. But they're insulting your contributions. I know. And tonight, my dad said cooking was just a hobby, not a real career. Like everything I learned was worthless. Hannah stood up, pacing. How much do you spend on groceries monthly? Maybe $700? I cook elaborate meals because I thought they'd appreciate it. $700 and they compare your cooking to cheap diners? Pretty much. Elise, you need to stop cooking for them. But that's my contribution. Your contribution is being disrespected and dismissed, Hannah interrupted. They want restaurant food? Let them pay restaurant prices. I looked up at her. What do you mean? Stop cooking. Completely. Let them figure out their own meals. They'll just order takeout every night. Exactly. And watch how fast that gets expensive. Hannah sat beside me, taking my hands. You deserve better than this. Your cooking is phenomenal, and if they can't see that, they don't deserve to eat it. The next morning, I announced my decision at breakfast. I won't be cooking anymore, I said, pouring myself coffee. Patricia looked up from her tablet. What do you mean? I mean, I'm done. You all clearly don't appreciate my cooking, so I'm not doing it anymore. Richard lowered his newspaper. Elise, don't be childish. I'm not being childish. I'm respecting your preferences. You want restaurant food? You can order it yourselves. But who's going to make dinner? Vanessa asked, panic creeping into her voice. You're all adults. Figure it out. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. I actually liked your cooking, Elise. You have a funny way of showing it, I replied. Yesterday you sat there while everyone mocked my coq au vin. I didn't say anything mean. You didn't say anything at all, Marcus. That's the problem. Patricia set down her tablet with a sharp click. This is ridiculous. You're part of this household and cooking is your responsibility. No, it was my contribution, which you rejected repeatedly. So now I'll contribute differently. How? Richard demanded. I'll pay you $300 monthly for rent and food. You can use that for groceries or takeout, whatever you prefer. $300? Patricia laughed. That won't cover a week of groceries for this family. Then you'll need to supplement it, won't you? Vanessa stood abruptly. This is insane. You're punishing us because your feelings got hurt? No, I'm respecting your clearly stated preferences. You said my cooking was mediocre. You compared it to cheap diners. So now you don't have to eat it anymore. We were just being honest, Richard said. There's no need for this dramatic response. Dramatic? Dad, you literally ordered takeout while I was plating dinner. Multiple times. Because we didn't want to eat subpar food, Patricia exclaimed. Then don't. Problem solved. I left for work, leaving them stunned into silence. That evening, I came home to find Marcus eating cereal for dinner. No one cooked? I asked, grabbing a yogurt from the fridge. Mom ordered salads for her and Dad. Vanessa went out with friends. They didn't order anything for me. There's cereal. I've had cereal for lunch too, he said quietly. Elise, I'm sorry about what everyone said. Your cooking really is good. Thanks, Marcus. But you should tell them that, not me. Over the next week, Patricia complained constantly about takeout costs. $40 for Chinese food? She exclaimed one night. This is outrageous. That's actually cheap for 4 people, I commented. We used to have home-cooked meals every night for a fraction of this cost, Richard grumbled. You did. And you hated them, remember? Mediocre, experimental, bland? We never said we hated them, Vanessa protested. Yes, you did, repeatedly. You mocked every dish I made. We were just teasing, Patricia said weakly. Teasing is lighthearted. What you did was cruel. Marcus nodded. She's right. You guys were pretty mean about it. Stay out of this, Marcus, Vanessa snapped. No, he said firmly. Elise cooked amazing meals, and we took it for granted. Now we're spending a fortune on food that's not even as good. The Thai food last night was excellent, Richard argued. And it cost $75, Marcus countered. Elise made pad thai last month that was just as good for maybe $15 in ingredients. Patricia's eyes widened. $75 for one meal? Welcome to restaurant prices, I said. 2 weeks into my cooking strike, I came home to find my friend David in the kitchen with Marcus. David? What are you doing here? Marcus called me, David explained. He ran a popular food blog and had featured several of my dishes. He told me what's been happening. It's a family matter. A family matter where they're disrespecting an incredibly talented cook, David interrupted. Elise, your food is restaurant quality. I've featured your recipes on my blog and they get thousands of views. Marcus jumped in. I showed Mom and Dad his blog. The comments on your beef bourguignon? People are raving about it. I don't care what strangers think, Patricia said, entering the kitchen with Richard. This is our daughter, not some celebrity chef. David turned to them. Mrs. Patterson, your daughter has serious culinary talent. I have connections with several restaurant owners who would hire her immediately. She has a career in accounting, Richard said firmly. A career she hates, David replied. She only pursued it because you wouldn't support culinary school. Because it's an unstable career. Is it? I know several chefs making 6 figures. Elise could easily be one of them with proper training. Patricia laughed dismissively. Our daughter, a professional chef? That's absurd. What's absurd is wasting her talent, David said sharply. Vanessa entered, holding takeout bags. Are we having this conversation again? Elise, just admit you're being petty and start cooking again. Petty? I repeated. You've all spent over $2,000 on takeout in 2 weeks. 2,000? Richard's face paled. Yes, that's what restaurant food costs. I was cooking gourmet meals for a fraction of that, and you called them mediocre. The following Saturday, my family staged what they called an intervention. Sit down, Elise, Patricia commanded, gesturing to the living room couch. We need to talk. I remained standing. About what? About this ridiculous situation you've created, Richard said. You're being unreasonable. I'm being unreasonable? You insulted my cooking for months, and now you're upset about the consequences. Vanessa crossed her arms. We've apologized. What more do you want? You haven't apologized. You've made excuses. Fine, Patricia said through gritted teeth. I'm sorry we hurt your feelings. Now will you please start cooking again? No. Elise! Richard's voice rose. This is childish. We're family. Family doesn't mock each other's passions. Family doesn't dismiss years of learning and effort. Marcus spoke up from the corner. Maybe if you guys had been nicer about it, she'd consider cooking again. Marcus, this doesn't concern you, Vanessa snapped. It does, actually. I'm tired of eating takeout too, but I'm more tired of watching you all treat Elise like her cooking is worthless when it's actually incredible. It's good. Not incredible, Patricia corrected. It's incredible, Marcus insisted. I've eaten at expensive restaurants that don't serve food as good as Elise's. I felt tears prickling my eyes. Thanks, Marcus. I'm just telling the truth. Everyone else is too proud to admit they were wrong. Wrong? Vanessa exploded. We were honest about food quality. That's not a crime. You were cruel, I said quietly. There's a difference between constructive criticism and mockery. You chose mockery every single time. We never mocked you, Patricia insisted. Really? Playing chef? Culinary adventure? Those were your words, Mom. I was being playful. No, you were being condescending, and you know it. Richard stood, his face reddening. Enough of this. Elise, you will start contributing to this household properly, or you can find somewhere else to live. The room fell silent. Excuse me? I whispered. You heard me. Cook for this family or get out. Richard? Patricia looked shocked. That's too far. Is it? She's living here rent-free. I'm paying $300 monthly, I interrupted, which doesn't cover utilities, let alone food. Then charge me more. But I'm not cooking for people who disrespect me. Vanessa jumped in. Dad has a point. If you're not going to contribute properly, why should you live here? Marcus stood up. Because she's family? Because up until 2 weeks ago, she was cooking gourmet meals every night that you all took for granted? Stay out of this, Vanessa shouted. No, you've all been horrible to Elise, and now you're threatening to kick her out because she won't tolerate it anymore? Richard moved toward me, his finger pointed at my face. You're being an ungrateful, selfish brat. I'm ungrateful? You mean for refusing to support my dreams? forcing me into accounting, mocking my cooking for years. "We gave you a roof over your head," he shouted, his face inches from mine. "A roof that comes with constant criticism. What a gift!" "How dare you?" Richard raised his hand. Marcus jumped between us. "Dad, no!" Richard's hand froze midair. He'd threatened me physically over a conversation about cooking. The room went completely still. "I'm calling the police," I said quietly, pulling out my phone. "The police?" Patricia gasped. "Elise, what?" "Dad just threatened to hit me. I'm documenting this." "I did no such thing," Richard protested. Vanessa grabbed his arm, pulling it down. "Dad, stop. Just stop." Marcus turned to me. "I saw everything. I'll testify to what happened if you need me to." I moved out that night, staying with Hannah while I found an apartment. I also filed a police report about Richard's threatening behavior. Marcus met me for coffee 2 days later. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "Better now that I'm out of that house. How are things there?" "Tense. Dad's furious. Mom's trying to play peacekeeper. Vanessa thinks you've lost your mind." "Of course she does." "I told them they brought this on themselves," Marcus said. "I also told them I'm moving out next month." "Marcus, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. I can't watch them treat people like this anymore. I should have defended you sooner." "You defended me when it mattered. That's what counts." Patricia called me repeatedly over the next few weeks. "Elise, please, can't we work this out?" she begged during one call. "Work what out, Mom?" "All of this legal business. Your father didn't mean to threaten you." His hand was raised. "Marcus saw it. You saw it. He was just upset. You were being very difficult. So I deserve to be threatened with violence? That's not what I'm saying. Family should forgive family. Family should respect family first. You all failed at that. We've apologized. What more do you want?" "I want you to understand what you did wrong, but you don't. You still think I'm overreacting." "Because you are. Taking your own father to court, it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a threat, and I'm not dropping the charges." Patricia's voice hardened. "Then you're no daughter of mine." "Apparently, I never really was." I hung up. Vanessa showed up at my apartment unannounced a week later. "We need to talk," she said when I opened the door. "I don't think we do." "Elise, please. This has gone too far. Dad might face serious consequences." "Over what? A stupid argument about food?" I stepped aside, letting her in. "Do you genuinely not understand what happened?" "I understand you've blown everything out of proportion." "Really? How much have you spent on food this past month?" She shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe $800? $800? And before I stopped cooking? Maybe 200? Exactly. I was saving this family thousands of dollars by cooking gourmet meals, and you all called them mediocre. You mocked my skills, my education, my passion. Then Dad threatened me with violence. How is any of that proportionate? He didn't actually hit you. The threat was enough, and the fact that you're defending him tells me everything." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "I'm trying to save our family." "Our family broke when you all decided my contributions were worthless. I'm just refusing to pretend otherwise." "So you're just done with all of us?" "With the toxic dynamics, yes. If any of you want actual relationships built on respect, I'm open to that. But I won't accept less anymore." She left without another word. Richard eventually took a plea deal, anger management classes, probation, and a fine. Marcus met me outside the courthouse afterward. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Relieved? Sad? Vindicated?" "I get that." "Hey, I wanted to tell you. I enrolled in culinary school." I stopped walking. "What?" "Watching you stand up for yourself made me realize I've been living their dream instead of mine. I want to be a pastry chef." Tears spilled down my cheeks. "Marcus, that's incredible." "Maybe we could open a restaurant together someday? You handle savory, I handle desserts." "I'd love that." Hannah joined us. "It's over. You did it." "I did, didn't I?" "So, what's next?" Marcus asked. "Next, I'm enrolling in that advanced culinary program. David connected me with a scholarship fund." "And after that?" Hannah prompted. After that, I'm going to be the chef they never believed I could be. Marcus grinned. To new beginnings? To new beginnings, I agreed. We walked away from the courthouse together, leaving behind the people who couldn't see my worth. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic. It's simply refusing to accept less than you deserve and building a life that proves everyone wrong. That coq au vin they mocked? I served it at a pop-up dinner last week. It sold out in 45 minutes, and 3 food critics called it the best French cuisine they'd had outside of Paris. Turns out, I wasn't the problem after all. Have you ever been underappreciated for something you were passionate about? How did you handle it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about standing up for yourself.